What's up, beautiful humans? Welcome to another episode of the More Power to You podcast. And I am Miss Ngaywa. So, I hope you guys have been well. Lately, and these past episodes, we have been talking about the busy neighbors. It is a series that I started last year. And last episode, we talked about the family, owing to the fact that tuliko tumetoka from the holiday season where people were spending time with their families. It was just a nice way to get into the new year by talking about reflecting the past, but through the family. So today, we want to talk about the wife. And I know a wife is many things. A wife is a spouse, is a partner, and a wife is as well a mother. And people get so many perspectives. You can get different perspectives of a wife from a child's point of view, from a husband's point of view, from a friend's point of view, and from every other person who experiences someone who's a wife at whatever point of experience that they do. And as today we talk about the wife, our learning point is also from back in the day, how wives used to be kitambo to how wame transition into the which got the 21st century, I want to believe. So, and also as I talk about it, as I give the scenario and the perspective of the wife, I also want you to think about yourself, especially if you're a woman, as an ideal wife. I want you to look at yourself. Ama, how would you advise someone? What are the qualities? Even if you're a man, I'm not sure if actually men listen to this podcast, but if you happen to have bumped into this episode or into this podcast and you do enjoy it, how would you describe your ideal wife? I'm an ideal wife. And as a woman, how do you see yourself as an ideal wife? What is your perspective of your ideal wife? So let's look at this perspective, this brief scenario of a wife. So get comfortable. If you have water, I do have water in the studio. Actually, I never actually sijawajulia hali. How mean of me? I actually hope that you have been well as you have started your week. It's a new month. How could I forget? It's a beautiful month. It's the beautiful month of February. Finally, January, Meisha, tuko Feb. And I hope your week started well. If not, then tomorrow is a beautiful new day to start again. So, as we get into this episode, put in mind your ideal self as a wife. If you're looking, I could be saying that now you're not looking forward to being a wife, but an ideal wife, according to you, how you would advise a wife to be, I need the character of a wife, yeah? So there's this lady I know. She used to do really well. Her husband worked remotely. He's one of those people who was his kind of work ni ile ya kuenda from place to place, but he thought it wise to situate his family in one place so that akitravel around the world he doesn't have to move around na the family. So this wife living in Nakuru, having their children, her children, all grown up, wangeza kuishi by themselves, take care of themselves. Now was living in Nakuru. Oh my God, did I just say the place? Was living in a town. Was living in a town. And in this town, she thrived. She was thriving. She had a plot. She had her own place. She set up her own thing. She was thriving, earning her own money. And I think she was about 50 something. Let me say that. That is to say that she's someone who was married kitambo. She's not the kind of wife na the men than at the state of mind and at the reasonings a modern woman. Probably influence here and there kidogo too, but her sense of wifeness, I'm a wifiness, definitely hakuna kutoka hiyo, but it's my thing now. It's our thing now. is from the old, from the past. So situated herself, doing very well, have taking care of herself, would take care of her kids, whatever they needed help. Husband, doing work, moving around and all those things. But ikafika time that he had to retire. And in retirement, he wanted to go to now Ushago. And that would mean that his wife would follow him back, sorry, to Ushago. And once tukifika tu hapo, let me give my input kiasi tu. Listening to that, I'm thinking, putting that in mind. For me, I feel like, imagine having situated yourself, built yourself as a person, you can take care of yourself and your children. Yani, you have your things going on for you as a woman. And then your husband may retire and you have to leave where you're used to and go and take care of your husband. To me, honestly, that's absurd, but I'm not a wife. So she decides to put her things in that town to sell them, or I don't know if she handed them over to someone to take care of them, or she sold them. I don't know. But she left that, what she was doing, to go and take care of her husband in Oshago. So while they're living together, this is a new space. It's not like she's used to both of them, the wife and the husband, are used to being together all the time. The husband used to travel, being in different places all the time, wife by herself. And now they have to morph together into living together. Najua kitambo they used to live together, but sasa this time it's now for G. Like they're doing it for life. Hakuna mtu anaenda kazi, alafu atarudi baadaye. So they're starting together in their oldies. And now she has to take care of her husband. She's not really doing anything per se that is giving her money. Probably it's something that she eventually has to grow into. You have to know the land, understand the land, know the place and all those things, market, what you want to do, what you want to sell and all those things. So they our Jazoyana, and eventually some things the husband doesn't like, some things, yani it's like they're learning each other afresh in this new space. And ikafika point the husband was frustrated over some things, I don't know what, and was now hitting the wife. Kumbuka, these are old people. It's absurd to actually do that in my mind. But she is a wife. She stays, takes care of her husband. Sometimes the husband won't even leave money for food. She would have to take care of herself. Ama, not even herself. Think about how she's gonna get money so that when the husband comes back, they have food to eat together. And the husband does have money, so anaweza acha pesa for her to take care of him. But this is the wife. And when we reflect back, when you look back as a child, what kind of a wife was your mother? Sometimes you can attest to the fact that you never saw your parents fighting. You never knew they even fought. Some would attest to that fact now. To others, you definitely know that your parents used to fight and all those bad stuff. And interesting enough, it's very rare. I know it has happened, but it is very rare that you hear the wife beating the husband. It is usually the husband beating the wife. And the wife chooses to stay. Squeezy, we say we are woke, people are woke. It's a different century, it's a different breed of women. They can just stand up and leave, but it's not kila mtu who does that. It's not everyone who has the strength to just up and leave like that. But setting ourselves up in that period of time where wives were meant ama were set up to take care of their husbands, that you would drop everything that was working for you to go and take care of your husband. That time where you're being beaten and think it's love, that time where a wife is being beaten and think, where do I go? How do I start? I'm already old enough, might as well just stick it through until the end of eternity. If anything, you guys stood on the altar and told yourselves, for better or for worse, if people used to say that in Kitambo weddings. But where do we actually draw the line? And what are the attributes of a wife? Utaenda social media, you see a lady cooking for her husband, and I don't know what men's perspective are, but you'd see a woman cooking for her husband and you're like, wow, that's cute. But then again, you'd put yourself in the shoes of a woman mwenye ametoka kuwork throughout the day and they have to come back and take care of the household, take care of herself too, take care of her husband. Yani watu wametoka kazi, but it's the woman who has to do every other thing that um it entails taking care of the home. But if we set ourselves in the Kitambo space, the Kitambo century, where probably hakukuwa na white weddings, where women walikuwa na bebo. You know, actually my mom told us, walikuwa natupigia story ati our grandmother ni one of those people when walikuja. Yani, you are tilling the land, alafu a man just spots you and says, that one I like. Anakuja na kubeba and takes you to their home. Imagine. No consent, no nothing. Hakuna courtship, hakuna dating. Someone just comes and bebas you and takes you to his home, which is very absurd. So, setting ourselves up, putting our minds into that time, would you give yourself to a man in that particular way as a wife? Yani, you're giving yourself completely to someone, taking care of them, taking care of your kids. They hit you, you stay, because you don't know anything apart from that. So you'll be probably scared to go and try out something different. So you just stay. Or whatever reason people use to stay in. Squeezy, we call them toxic marriages, but abusive marriages and everything that is not working, probably cheating and all those things. To me nikijieka in that uko hata sijui, I don't know, probably with that particular mindset I would also stay, but now definitely not. We are not doing that in 2023. We've come so far. I mean, we've come so much far that we can't. I'm not encouraging someone to leave their marriage, but we are not doing that here. We cannot be, people who leave, people who stay in toxic marriages. But then again, I'd give the perspective of the Bible, and particularly submission. Kwa sababu, someone would say a woman staying in a toxic marriage, it would mean that sorry, that they're submissive to their husband. But let's try to demystify the word submission. I feel like people think that when you're saying that you're submitting to your husband, yani unanyenyekea, ukipigwa unanyenyekea, if you're being talked down upon unanyenyekea. Yani, it's all kinds of bad things. But let's get the meaning of submission. This is Google, yeah? The action of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person. Another definition, the action of presenting a proposal, are different. But let's take the first one, the action of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person. Yeah, to yield. Sindio? To the authority. So, mine, definitely, like I always tell you, my teaching point, my base is usually the scripture. And to reference Paul, he says, I think in the book of Ephesians, in many books ameongelelea about the wife, he says, wife, wives, submit to your husbands, wife, submit to your husband as the church, as the church unto Christ. So that would mean that the husband in a marriage is playing the role of Christ. Christ is not abusive. Christ is not a hater. Christ does not look down upon us. Instead, we can see the character of Christ in the scripture. He teaches, he guides, he loves, he sacrificed himself for us. But I'm not, we can't see, we can't tell the men to sacrifice themselves like that for their women. But if we look at the attributes of Christ, those are the very attributes that men should show in their marriage for them to get a submissive wife. And also, when Paul continues to say, and please don't get me wrong, I am not married and I probably do not know anything about marriage. So, this is just me talking out of, let's say, not an opinion, just a perspective. I wouldn't say it's an opinion, a perspective. From my end, how I see it, probably as a child, I have been a child of a woman who was a wife, though I don't even remember her being a wife. But from stories I've heard, from people I've seen, people that I've experienced as wives. So, as Paul says it, akiendelea kusema in that scripture, anasema that, and husbands love your wives. So for you to get, this is my thought, for a husband to get a submissive wife, they have to attribute Christ in themselves. And for them to get a submissive wife, they have to love their wife. And to get the perspective of love, the definition of love, the attributes of love as well, I'd reference you to 1 Corinthians 13. The love is patient, love is kind, love keeps no record of wrong. Iyo yote. So that is love. Love is beyond an emotion, is beyond a feeling. So for a husband to get a submissive wife, they have to attribute Jesus Christ, kwa sababu if Paul says, husbands, wives, submit to your husbands as the church submits to Christ. Sababu, the church is the bride of Christ. So you have to attribute Christ, you have to love your wife, akiendelea kusema you have to love your wives. And then, something else, still from the scripture. I know you've heard of the Proverbs 31 woman. And it talks about the virtuous woman, but it's a wife, kwa sababu ukisoma verse 11, it says, the heart of her husband that safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Nimeanza na the wrong verse. You guys, you need to baby girl your wives anyway. Let me so much and so ni KJV. Lest niwapoteze. Tusome NIV. Verse 11, it says, her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. That is a virtuous woman. And as a wife, you need to have virtue as well. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. Yani, she takes care of her family. She provides as well. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. All I'm saying is, out of that tiny, nsiseme story, that tiny encounter of a wife that I've just shared, someone drops their entire life to go take care of her husband who probably does not even care about her like that. What do you do in such a circumstance? How do you set yourself up in a position where you find someone, someone as a husband will take care of you, as a husband should, emulates the attributes of Jesus Christ and loves you as a wife? How do you supposedly find yourself in such a situation where you're the one being abused, you're the one not being provided for, you're the one being cheated upon as a wife? How do you get up from that? Kwa sababu even the scripture, nakumbuka kina Pharisees and Sadducees trying to trap Jesus, ama tu referencing Moses, he said that one can be offered a marriage of a certificate of divorce when they have committed adultery. That's cheating. And imagine someone can't kill you. Imagine the scripture is against murder. So if someone shows tendencies of murder, leave. That's me. That's not the Bible. I mean, it's me. Leave. So if you find yourself, just think about it. Let's say you're a therapist sitting in a couch with someone having come to tell you that my husband beats me, my husband cheats on me, I am scared of leaving. Amma, what do I do? How do I go about this? Am I finding yourself, God forbid, in that situation? What would you do in this 2023 year? Beautiful 2023 year. What do you do? So I won't mind your comments. I won't mind your advice to me as a probable, as a hypothetical wife. Let's share these things. I think we are some people do not look forward to being wives. But in one way or another, being a girlfriend, you find yourself, if you are a girlfriend, you find yourself doing wifey things, ama preparing yourself to become a wife when that intention has been set between the two of you. You find yourself doing wifey things, wifely duties, are preparing yourself for them. So we need to learn. We need to learn even for healthy relationships, healthy mindsets, healthy building of our well-beings as wives. Nianzishe group ya wives somewhere, anyway, just kidding. And also men, husbands, what is your ideal wife? And that should be realistic. That we can't be absurd in these streets. We have to be realistic. What is your ideal wife? What characteristics does your ideal wife represent? Is it scriptural? Is it your own setup? Is it traditional? Is it how do you call it, borrowed from a certain tribe or culture? Like, what is your ideal wife? I think we should learn. We should anticipate, not in absurdity, like tunaenda tunakuwa weird or absurd about our expectations, but realistic. We learn the world, how the world has been, how the world has evolved, how the world is now, has been then, who we are now, what we are looking forward to, even as people who are looking forward to becoming parents or not. So that has been it for me on the wife. And keep up on the Busy Neighbors episode. Like I said, we are bringing into perspective people's experiences and learning from them, trying to teach ourselves something from those experiences and trying to create a mindset that builds better for us as human beings. Don't forget to catch the Dope Radio on social media, on Instagram, and follow us on social media as Dope Radio. Dope Radio. I think it's the only one on Instagram. It's Dope Radio. And we also have merch. We have teas. I'm not wearing it, but we are selling the organized mess still under Dope Company. Has journals, has books, has dope stuff. You guys, has Bible planners, has daily planners. It's beautiful. It's really, really, really awesome. You can copy yourself one. The journals goes for 800 shillings. The daily planner go for 1,000. The Bible planner is on its way. Like probably by the time na hii episode ina air, itakuwa ishatoka. But you can visit organizedmess.ke on Instagram and check the reels, samples, people sharing their comments on the books, and you can get yourself one. You can order from there. And also catch Dope Radio. Catch my episodes, the More Power to You podcast on all social medias, on all podcast streaming platforms. That's Spotify, Apple Pod, where you stream Apple iOS streamers, Streamform, Google, Castbox, and all those sweet platforms. So subscribe, also share, and all those things. So catch you on the next one. And please comment. I on social media I'm Ngaiwa.A. But you can also comment on top radio podcast on your ideal wife, ama your ideal self as a wife, if you looking forward to become a wife. So catch you on the next one, and don't forget to do those things. Listen, share, and all those gorgeous things. It has been myself, Miss Ngaywa. Catch you on the beautiful next one. Bye.